The photograph before you is more than just a snapshot of a holiday party. It is the culmination of generations of ambition, wealth, and careful curation of social standing. This is December 13th, 1983, at Strathmore Hall, where the Camalier brothers, Chris and Davie, have gathered the young elite of Washington, D.C., the preppy aristocracy, the heirs to the city's old money and political clout. Look closer. See the way they dance. The men in navy blazers, tartan trousers, and duck boots polished just right. This is the Washington preppy set at their peak, twirling across polished floors in a world they were raised to inherit. At the center of the photograph, Chris Camalier, 34, an established real estate attorney, leading Teresa Cahill, 27, a promising young doctor in a dance that embodies effortless sophistication. Chris is flashing a smile, his tuxedo crisp, his movements smooth, a man entirely at ease in the world his family built. His law firm, Wilkes, Arties, Hedrick and Lane, was at the center of Washington's booming real estate scene. He knew the power of land, the way his family had held and shaped it for generations. Teresa, graceful, laughing, her dress catching the light, was the kind of woman this world celebrated, poised, well-educated, familiar with the etiquette of a waltz and a well-placed conversation. She was part of Washington's next generation of professionals, a woman stepping into her own in a city where status still mattered. Behind them, another couple moves in perfect rhythm. Davie was the one keeping the family's tradition alive in a different way. While Chris worked in real estate law, Davie was the guardian of the family's retail empire, Camalier and Buckley, the premier leather goods store in downtown Washington. His shop, located on Connecticut Avenue, had been the city's most refined destination for fine leather briefcases, luggage, and accessories since the early 1900s. A place where senators, diplomats, and corporate executives found the quiet luxury that spoke volumes without saying a word. And in this moment, on this night, everything seemed to be exactly as it should be. A legacy in motion, how we got to this moment. The Camalier family name stretches back nearly 200 years in Washington. In the early 1800s, Vincent Camalier arrived from France as a craftsman carving stone, building the foundations of a young capital city. His son, George Alexander Camalier, expanded their reach, marrying into established families, blending work ethic with social ambition. By the 20th century, the Camaliers weren't just craftsmen. They were merchants, landowners, and dealmakers. Charles A. Camalier Sr. saw opportunity in two key industries, retail and real estate. He founded Camalier and Buckley, the city's finest leather goods store, and through careful investments secured vast farmland in Bethesda and Montgomery County. As Washington expanded outward, the family watched, waited, and played their hand carefully. By the mid-century, Bethesda was no longer farmland. It was an elite suburban enclave, and the Camaliers were one of the families who had shaped it. Their next move? Potomac. From the proceeds of their Bethesda developments, the family secured rolling estates, fox hunting grounds, and homes that rivaled any found in Virginia's horse country. They became synonymous with the idea of Washington wealth, old money, established, respected. And by 1983, their legacy was in full bloom. The preppy era, a perfect moment in time. The 1980s were the golden years of Washington's preppy aristocracy. To be young and privileged in this world meant a life of private schools, Ivy League ambitions, and a carefully mapped-out social circuit. The men had been raised at Georgetown Prep, St. Albans, and Landon. The women had attended Holton Arms, Madeira, and National Cathedral School. Summers were spent in Nantucket, winters in Vermont, spring weekends in Palm Beach. They wore their privilege lightly, but unmistakably. Look at the photo again. The details are the code of their world. The LL Bean duck boots they wore even when there was no snow. The ribbon watch bands, the signet rings, the golden cufflinks inherited from grandfathers. The navy blazers, always tailored but never tight, always worn just the right way. And they knew exactly where to be seen. Sunday nights at 3rd Edition's Oldies Night. Mondays at Winston's. Tuesdays at Chadwick's. Fridays at Chinese Disco, where preppies let loose in the back room of the Daylily restaurant, sipping Singapore slings and pretending for a moment that their world was a little wilder than it actually was. But Strathmore Hall was different. This was not just another night out. This was a holiday tradition. This was a family celebrating everything they had built. And Chris and Davie Camalier, the heirs to it all, knew exactly what this moment meant. A night that lasted forever. Look at the smiles in the photo. They aren't just enjoying the night, they are secure in the world they were born into. They believed this world would last forever. The family name, the land, the stores, the social structure, all of it felt permanent, unshakable. And maybe for a little while longer it was, because outside Washington was changing. New money, new power structures, new industries rising. The next generation would see corporate wealth begin to outshine old family names. But on this night at Strathmore Hall, the Camalier name still held power. And as the music played and the couples twirled, Chris and Davie Camalier led the way, smiling, dancing, toasting the past and the future, believing just for a moment that nothing would ever change.